Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about my setup that I use for my indie app development. I'm going to talk about a bit first the hardware that I use, and I will also mention about and talk a little bit about the software I use. This is my current setup. It's a small office space I have. It's in my house where I also live, and if we look at the hardware first, I am using a Mac Studio, the older version with the M1 Ultra chip and 64 gigs and 1 terabyte of storage. That one is a bit of overkill, I guess, but when I bought it, I was very sick and tired of the gaming PC I had at the time, and I thought I get the studio and I can use it for a bit of casual gaming as well. But it later turned out that I missed a few titles that were not available on the Mac, and I didn't want to go with the converters or overlays or stuff to use Windows games on the Mac. So I ended up with the gaming PC anyway. But the good thing is I have a good development computer that will probably last several more years. I've been using it since the release. I think it was the 18th of March 2002, and I think I have at least 3 or 4 years for my needs with that machine. I also have a MacBook Air, the 2024 version, 15-inch with the M3 chip, 24 gigs of RAM, 512 gigabyte of storage. I think it's a very nice laptop, and it covers my need entirely, I think. Screen-wise, I used an ultra-wide monitor from LG, 38-inch with a resolution of 3840 times 1600, so plenty of desktop space. With the ultra-wide format, I see both pros and cons. Sometimes I miss having two 28-inch screens instead, especially when you're want to share your screen or stuff like that. I can also miss the higher resolution from my 4K 27-inch monitors, especially when it comes to smaller text fonts and stuff. But at the moment I'm happy with this one. It's a nice setup. I can organize my windows in a nice way. So nothing to complain about there. Phone-wise, I'm a bit behind the current phone models. I have an iPhone 13. It's provided by my employer for my work, and I can use it for private use. And I haven't really found a reason yet to update it or go for something like iPhone 15 Pro or something like that. It works okay. I can test my software. I also don't want to test my software on the latest and greatest, because it could give me false impressions when it comes to performance and stuff in my apps. If it's slow, I want to know it, and I think an iPhone 13 is good in that way. That is, it's probably a bit slower than the average users of my app. So if it works fine on my iPhone, I guess it will work fine for most of my customers. Software-wise, what do I use and why do I use it? Well, for IDE, I use Xcode. I know there are some options out there with more built-in AI support, but I don't want to lean too much on the AI for code producing. Of course, I use Cloud AI, But I use it more to like discuss solution and get samples, or have it someone who can explain something or so. And I don't mind copy and pasting if I would like to use some AI generated code. So I use Xcode as my IDE. And for repository and source control, I use GitHub. That's where I store my code and have it backed up and so on. And for uploading the applications, the CI/CD part, I use Xcode Cloud. So I have connected it to my GitHub repository, and different branches there will trigger different pipelines for build and also deployment to like test groups or to the App Store. For graphic design, I'm using Photoshop. I have been using that since the last millennium, so old habits die hard, I guess. I know there are good free options out there. I don't use it much for graphic design, for print and stuff like that anymore. It's basically almost everything I do with this is connected somehow to my app development. But I know it from old, and I don't have the time to look up something new, so I have a subscription for Photoshop. Figma, I'm quite new to that one, but I'm starting to get used to it, and I use it for vector-based graphics. I have been using Illustrator for many years as well, since the 90s, but last 10 years or so, my work as a freelancer and employee, it's been more about coding than graphic design, so I lost my Illustrator skills, so to speak, and I didn't want to subscribe to the full Adobe Creative Suite anymore, because it costs quite a lot of money, and I almost only used Photoshop. So I'm trying to get used to Figma, and this far it's been very nice, I think. When it comes to project management and stuff like that, I've been using Jira for quite some time. And that's where I have all the user stories and stuff related to the app I have in App Store now, Prioritask. I've been starting to look into Notion instead, and I see several benefits with it. It's easier to connect everything work related, from development processes, notes, issues and bugs to fix and stuff. I like it for that part. But I still miss some of the powers you get in Jira when it comes to the core development of an app. If I'm going to make a new app from scratch and everything related to developing it and creating new features and stuff, I like the detailness in Jira, the story point system, and I think it's good to use. However, stuff like change the background color of that component, or small tasks, updates, bug fix, I tend to go more to using Notion for that part. And as I mentioned before, I'm using Claude as AI subscription. That's the one I subscribe to. Then I also using Copilot from time to time. So that's a bit about the software and the hardware that I use and why I use it. I will probably make a video and dive a bit deeper into the Jira part, how I work with my projects there, how I create my user stories and stuff, because it's a lot to be said about that as well. But this is everything for now, I think. So have a nice day, and I see you soon again.